Hi, welcome. My name is Emily Griffey. I am Chief Policy Officer at Voices for Virginia's Children, and we wanted to bring more attention to the role of parents and the role that the earned income tax credit can have in terms of supporting parents during the General Assembly session and the decisions facing our legislators now. We know that throughout the pandemic, parents are facing numerous challenges. Child care closures have made it more difficult to work. Employment uncertainty and illness has made it difficult to plan ahead, and inflation is impacting our day-to-day expenses as parents. These material hardships also put an emotional toll on families. Parents have repeatedly reported higher than typical levels of stress and anxiety during the pandemic on nationwide survey measures. Being a parent on a normal day is not an easy job, let alone living through 2 years of the pandemic. Focusing on parents is what brings us together today from Voices with Families Forward Virginia and the Commonwealth Institute to share how families can benefit from tax policy decisions in front of the General Assembly. We will hear the stories of parents throughout the Commonwealth who are facing daily hardships and examples of what it has meant to have a few extra $100 in your bank account thanks to tax refunds and credits. Today, we are lifting up the proposal for a refundable earned income tax credit, the EITC, as the policy choice in front of legislators that benefits parents. 72% of those who receive the EITC have children in their household. The EITC is in the middle of Virginia's tax policy debate right now. Governor Youngkin has stated he would like to see the final budget include $1,500 of relief for the typical family. 1 in 4 tax filers in Virginia have dependents in their households. But we have not yet heard from families in this discussion. That's why we're here today. The benefits of the EITC can be a lifeline for families and really needs to garner more attention. So far, there's been one hearing in the House on the earned income tax credit. It was 7:30 on a Monday. I remember it well because I was attending virtually for my job while half of my family was isolating due to having COVID. My daughter was screaming in the background about getting dressed for the day. And that's the typical life of a parent. We've seen throughout the COVID-19 pandemic that the disproportionate burden of job losses and health outcomes fall on low-income Black and Brown families. The effort in Virginia to create a refundable earned income tax credit reverses that narrative. Low-income families would be the ones to disproportionately benefit. It's time for our policymakers to make the choice that shows parents matter. For today, we will hear from a few legislators who have been championing the earned income tax credit in the House and Senate. We have a video to show from Delegate Marcia Price, and we hope to be joined by a few other legislators today. So let me pull up pause with me for a second while I pull up our video and recording, and we will get to hear from families in 1 minute.
Good morning. I am Delegate Cia Price, and I'm so proud to be standing with organizations like Voices for Virginia's Children and the parents who could benefit from the legislature making the right policy choices for a just future. Working families have been hit hard during the pandemic, and that means their children have been affected as well. The General Assembly is tasked with passing legislation that responds to the needs of Virginians. And right now, the biggest way we can respond to those needs is in our budget. A state's budget is a statement of our priorities and our values. Those priorities and values are very different in the House and the Senate. When we think about funding a just future for kids, we may think of things like public schools, Medicaid and healthcare coverage, mental health resources, safe and affordable housing, access to nutritious foods, and creating safer neighborhoods where children live. But unfortunately, the House budget has made cuts to each of those areas. And those cuts happen to fund another choice they made, to double the standard deduction versus putting money towards a refundable earned income tax credit. As you know, the Earned Income Tax Credit is a way to help those who right now pay a larger percentage of their income in taxes than those who make more than them. A refundable EITC would put money directly back in the pockets of 640,000 families by providing a larger tax refund to these taxpayers. This larger refund, as you'll hear, can help with everyday expenses to just trying to make it. Families across the entire Commonwealth, from Wise County to Newport News, can benefit from this tax relief. So when we say we want to help all Virginians, we can mean it by including these families in our tax relief proposals. To my colleagues, I would say the introduced budget fully funded this proposal at 15%, and the Senate budget increased it to 20%. So we know it can be paid for. So let's do it. And to those who will speak today, remember, political courage to do the right thing doesn't just happen, it's created. And it is my hope that your voices will help create the energy we need in order to keep the refundable EITC in the budget. Thank you for sharing your truth and for your advocacy. Good morning, I am Delegate.
Great. Thank you to Delegate Price for sharing her testimony with us today. Delegate Price was the patron of the refundable EITC proposal in the House. I am going to introduce one of my colleagues here, or introduce my colleague here, Donna Guevara, who is with Families Forward Virginia, and give her a chance to introduce herself as well as some of the parents who are here with us today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Donna Guevara, and I'm the Parent Advocacy Coordinator for Families Forward Virginia. I have a few parents with me today, and I think we are going to hear a little bit from them. I have some people from Franklin County, Goochland, Richmond, Portsmouth, and Virginia Beach. So all over the place. I think we will start out today. We ready to start hearing from some of our parent voices? I think we are going to start out with Miss Brandy Ferguson, if that would be okay with you, Brandy.
Hi, everyone. Hi, my name is Brandy Ferguson, and I have a lot of lived expertise and have learned, benefited, and helped others in my path. I have a strong faith in God, and I am blessed that He has never let me down. The programs I have experienced throughout my life have helped me to get to where I am now, and the recent child tax credit has been such a major blessing to me and my family. Recently, I had to quit my full-time job of 10 years with the local Head Start program here. I made this decision so I could focus full-time and care for my mom, who has been diagnosed with Parkinson's. For now, this is where I'm needed, but I do plan on going back to work at Head Start later in life since teaching is my passion. I have definitely benefited from the recent child tax credit. This has allowed my family to have extra income to cover things like food, bills, clothes, housing, and gas to run my mom to all of her appointments, since I currently took a pay decrease without benefits with my new job to care for my mom. The child tax credit has helped me stay ahead and not fall behind. I have 7 children who depend on me to take care of them as well. Life is not always easy, but thankfully the government has recognized that and has implemented things like the child tax credit and earned income tax credits to help my family stay ahead. Blessings to all and whatever lies ahead. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Brandy, for your story. We appreciate you. And I think we're going to hear now from Tyran Green.
You would call on me next. How you doing? Thank
You're
you.
well, thank you.
Hello, my name is Tyran Green, and I am a proud parent, grandparent, and a caregiver. I am advocating on behalf of other parents and caregivers like me. It has been a very challenging task as a parent during the pandemic due to lack of childcare and inability to maintain a steady job and income. The real challenge was choosing to work to care for your basic needs like food and shelter, meaning an added daycare expense that will be more than the income earned on the job. In addition to maintaining an internet connection or sacrificing your children's education because of virtual learning. Oftentimes, I felt defeated because of my limited resources and economic status. I really struggled mentally, hiding the fear of failing as a parent to maintain during such hard times. I had to make a lot of life-changing decisions during the pandemic and being exposed to COVID while trying to care for my family. I know that it was nothing but God's grace and mercy that sustained me and my little ones during these hard times, because I would have gave up without my faith and support of extended family and friends. I truly, truly believe wholeheartedly that parents need financial support and should be a priority when it comes to tax cuts. After all, our children are our future. I thank you for allowing me to share the story, because it's not easy talking about the struggles, because it's just a hard thing to try to choose and struggle alone when you're choosing to, should you pay your rent, should you pay the light bill, or the virtual education part of it was hard because I had to decide. My internet got cut off every month, and without the internet, they didn't get to stay on. So when I received that money, I got the stimulus money, that kind of helped me because I've been living check to check. So I thank you. And this is just sincerely from a concerned, desperate parent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tyran, for being so transparent. We really appreciate you. And I think now we're going to hear from one more parent, Miss, excuse me, Miss Crystal Songer.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Crystal Songer. I'm a wife and mother of 5 beautiful children. 3 still live in the home with me. Life wasn't always as well. I was a well put together professional woman as you see before you today. So let me tell you a little bit about me and my family. My story started 7 years ago on a riverbank in Rocky Mount, Virginia. I was homeless, broken, and in full-blown addiction, desperately needing help. Little did I know at this time I was pregnant with my 4th child, and my husband was being carted off to jail. I made the decision that my life was going to change, and it did. I went into a 30-day program in Galax, Virginia, that changed my life forever. After leaving the program, I started an intensive outpatient program with Piedmont Community Services. Things started to change for me after that. I regained custody of my children, got my own apartment through Section 8 housing, signed up for benefits with DSS to receive SNAP, Medicaid, and really start to live a sober life and heal. Pregnant with child number 5, I noticed it was really hard for my husband to maintain the bills on his own. So I started my journey back into the workforce. I noticed that the more I tried to live right, the harder things got for me and my family. There was no help for people trying to get away from the system. It was either do really well, really fast, or struggle and lose everything. I got a better job. And because of that, some of my benefits started to be taken away. So I had little money coming in and bills were steadily getting higher. I was forced to get another job just to save money. Slowly, my husband and I saved money to move into our own home. Then COVID hit. He lost his job, which he had worked 5 years, which really impacted his struggle to maintain his sobriety. Thankfully, we have tools that we've learned to stay on track. Then, shortly after, I received a job with Piedmont Community Services, helping people just like me. I know now as a certified peer recovery specialist, where I help other people in the ER who are in a position I used to before becoming sober, able to live a healthy, productive life. We are now a homeowner and taxpayer and working 2 jobs and no benefits that I can afford. Although my 3 kids have insurance through the state. Our bills starting piling up. Oops, sorry, lost my place. The government implemented the new child tax credit law the past year, so we received monthly payments from my children, what helped us at least not get in the negative each month. As a mother of 5, I fear what is going to happen next. I've climbed out of the depths of hell to get where I am today, and I sincerely ask the legislation to please continue with the yearly CTC payments, at least until COVID slows down, so families like mine who are having to decide whether to pay bills or put food on the table. Thank you guys for hearing me today, and sorry for the interruptions.
Thank you,
you.
Crystal. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Go
thank
ahead,
you so
Emily.
much, Brandy and Tyran and Crystal. Your stories are so powerful, and you have such wonderful ability to convey your messages to our legislators. We do have one legislator who just joined us today, and so I want to make sure that we can turn over our attention to Delegate Candy Munden King, representing the 2nd District of Prince William. Delegate Munden King is on the House Finance Committee, who has considered some of this legislation around the Earned Income Tax Credit. And so I wanted to welcome her today and offer her thoughts on the Earned Income Tax Credit. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And I think, was that Crystal who was speaking before me? Crystal, thank you so much for sharing your story. Your story is like so many of our stories of hardworking families where we have a system here in Virginia that is really not set up to ensure that our families can be successful. I grew up in a family where my dad went out to work 40 plus hours every week for public works, public utilities, digging ditches, laying gravel, doing really hard backbreaking work. And we were still not able to afford the things that we needed. We lived in public housing. There were nights, I tell my kids all the time that we're hungry. Are you hungry or do you want McDonald's? There is a difference. And some of us are, unfortunately, know what it feels like to really be hungry. And, I have spoken out in support of the Earned Income Tax Credit because I think that, some of the proposals that we see coming forward in terms of tax policy may help some, but it won't help all. And it definitely won't help those who need the help the most. So very high income folks getting to double the standard deduction or getting a rebate when those amongst us who are living, who are disabled won't qualify, or who are working very hard in jobs that don't pay living wages won't qualify. So it is troubling to see. However, we have lived through terrible tax policy before. And I just think it's important for you all to continue to show up, to continue to use your voices, to continue to sound the alarm on these sorts of tax proposals that are helping some people, but not helping those in need the most. And so I plan to, for as long as I'm here, to continue to be a voice to say there is a better option. There is an alternative. There are people who feel differently. And so thank you for what you're doing. And if I can ever be a resource, please do not hesitate to reach out to my office. And I have to, so Rodrigo has my contact info, which I'm happy to share. I have to run. I'm one of those people working 2 jobs. So I have to run to my job that, feeds those kids McDonald's. But thank you all so much for the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Delegate Munden King, for being here with us today, too. And I want to introduce our colleagues from the Commonwealth Institute. Chris Wadika is the Senior Policy Analyst, and Rodrigo Soto with our Tax Fairness for Virginians Coalition. And Chris, you've been our lead expert on the EITC in Virginia for as many years as it's been proposed in front of us. So I was wondering if you could add any additional information about the Earned Income Tax Credit and how it benefits families.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Emily, and thank you, Donna and Brandy and Tyran and Crystal for all sharing your stories, and thanks to the delegate for joining us this morning. I just wanted to add a couple of things and maybe elaborate on some of the comments already made. And And so in terms of this proposal that we've been talking about, the earned income tax credit, that's based on a federal policy that's been in existence since the 70s, and Virginia has its own state version that matches a portion of that of the federal credit. And this proposal would allow all 600,000 families in Virginia who get the federal credit to get a full 20% match as a state credit as well. And that would be money directly back into people's pockets. And that's money that can be used on groceries and clothing and gas and other essentials. And so it's really important, I think, in this moment with the pandemic and the economy being in this strange place that we've been in the last couple of years. And then I think just to go back to something that Delegate Price had referenced that I think doesn't maybe isn't as understood in some of the policy discussions, but I think a lot of us in kind of our lived experience, we know this, that we actually have an upside down tax code in Virginia where folks who have lower incomes actually pay a larger share of their income in taxes for state and local things, as opposed to those with the highest incomes. And that's because we have a pretty flat income tax in Virginia. We also have sales taxes and other excise taxes. And so for families who are making low to moderate incomes, they're paying about 9% or higher of their income in state and local taxes. And then if you're making a lot of income, like 500,000 plus, you're paying actually like around 7%. So they're actually paying lower taxes. And so I think this policy discussion can really help to recenter this in terms of right sizing our tax code so that it's not as imbalanced as it is now. And so thank you for having me this morning, and thank you for sharing the space. And Rodrigo, feel free to jump in now. And Rodrigo is our revenue campaign manager.
I have nothing more to add other than I'm thankful for everyone's stories, and I'm thankful to be able to work with everyone on here on this particular policy priority. So my only job was actually just to get Delegate Munden King here. So mission accomplished.
Good job. And we appreciate everyone sharing their stories, being vulnerable, and really bringing to light how challenging this pandemic has been for families. We know that when it comes to tax policy, it often gets complicated, right? And it's not something everyone wants to think about in terms of getting those documents in place and filing your taxes. When it comes to the bottom line, it is how do we help get some additional money into families' pockets so that they can make those things happen, like affording childcare, like paying for gas, like paying for increasing in costs of inflation and groceries. And that's really what we want to see our lawmakers prioritize. The choice that Virginia has right now, that's the best option, is the refundable earned income tax credit. And we really want to see the final negotiated budget include that help and relief for parents. So thanks to everyone for being here today. I'm going to stop our recording now.